Hello everyone and welcome. This is Christine with Patter Crafts, and today we are going to make some Halloween treat tags with some Hershey Nuggets, and we've got some products from MFT to make these little treat tags. And I thought what best way to use all of this scrap pattern paper than to make some tags. So the pattern paper I'm using is called Booville. That is from Doodlebug Designs. And then I'm using products from MFT. I am using the Treat Tag Dienamics die set. I'm also using the Nugget label window and frame Dienamics from MFT, and also the Nugget pouches for today's project. So the first thing that I am doing is trimming all the pieces of pattern paper that are kind of small, but they're big enough to be trimmed to 1 inch by 3 inches. These pieces of pattern paper will be what we use to wrap our nuggets. This is a great way to use up some small scraps that you have. Anything that I don't end up using for the wrappers and they end up being too small, I recycle. I find that tiny pieces of paper, while adorable as it is, I find it very overwhelming because I feel I need to use it, but then I'm never happy with the project that I use. If I'm using just scraps, I wouldn't say always, just I don't feel very inspired when I'm trying to force myself to use scrap paper, if that makes any sense at all. I don't like to just throw everything away, so I do try to find projects to use it up, but once it gets to a certain size, I just need to purge it and it goes in the recycling. So we're wrapping up our little nuggets here, and I am using my ATG gun, so I'm using a tape runner to adhere these. I would suggest some sort of tape runner, double-sided sticky tape, or score tape. I do not recommend liquid glue at all for this part of the project. So I am just wrapping several here to show you what they're going to look like. I think they're super adorable. This is certainly not a new idea, and there are tons of people who make these each year. And I just thought it'd be a great way. Aren't they adorable? So cute. So now that my nuggets are all wrapped, I put those aside, and now I'm going to work on the tag portion of our project. So any of my scrap papers that I could fit the die on, I went ahead and did so. And I'm using this little small piece here found on the frame die set, not the tag die set, but the Nugget frame window die set. And that cuts out the window for our nugget pouch. So I just kind of eyeball sort of where the center is, where that little pouch is going to fit in, and I call it a day. So it's going to fit in just like that. I don't really know if there's a more precise way to do that, but it works for me. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut out now the back portion of our tag. So we have the front portion that will hold our nuggets, but we still need to close it. So we're going to make the back piece. For the back piece, I do use 110-pound cardstock. It's nice and sturdy, and you kind of need that because of the weight of the nuggets. You don't want your project to fall apart, especially if you're gifting these to anybody or if you're selling them at a craft fair or anything like that. So to kind of give you an idea where to put this little piece. Now this little piece here is a perforated edge so that when somebody turns their little tag around, they can just pop that open and get the little treats out. So we're going to go ahead and cut that. You can use the pattern paper you trimmed to get your 2 window pieces perfectly lined up. I did do that here to just kind of show you guys how to do it. But frankly, you can just kind of eyeball it. I don't think it has to be perfect. They'll still come out of that paper. Now to adhere the whole thing together. So for the window portion, I am using some score tape. I want it to be a heavy duty tape that's going to hold this plastic piece with the candy in place. I'm using 1/8 of an inch because the way I put this pattern paper on the Nugget pouch, if I use anything a little bit thicker, I tend to stick the pouch to the table, and that doesn't work for me because what I do is I will put the Nugget pouch right on my craft desk, and then I'm going to pop the paper right over the top and press it into place. So if the score tape's too much bigger, it's going to stick to the table. And I don't want that to happen. I suppose I wouldn't have to press it down on the table, but it's just how I do it. So now I'm going to go ahead and add the backing. I have my little candies in there. And I'm using, for this part, I'm using a 1/4 inch score tape. I'm using the thicker score tape for this part because this is where I do want the score tape to kind of overlap the plastic and be on the paper as well, just to give the whole project a little more stability. I don't know if it works. That's the best way. That's how I do it. In my mind, it's more stable if I do that and I don't have to worry about the tag falling apart. Especially if people are just kind of holding them, waving them around, or whatever they do with them. So I finished that up with just a tape runner all around the outside. I go ahead and add the backing to the tag, and now we're just kind of doing decorative parts. So the treat tag Dienamics set has 2 different treat topper pieces. One is a straight edge and the other has a scalloped edge. So depending on the size of the pattern paper, some of these are straight and some of these are scalloped. I personally prefer the scalloped look better, but I didn't always have room to do that when I'm trying to use scrap paper. So I did use liquid glue to put that top piece on. That way I could just kind of maneuver it around a little bit to make sure it was perfectly lined up for that opening. And I just used some ribbon from my stash for this particular project. I used orange ribbon, green ribbon, and some like sheer purple ribbon that I had. Now everything is all set. I can just do the decoration part of it because I had lots of embellishments also with this collection. So I'm trying to, as best I can, use as much of the product as I can. You certainly don't have to decorate them with anything if you don't want to. There will be a tag coming up in a moment or two that you'll see the pattern paper I use is so busy, you really don't need to add anything more to it. So don't feel like you got to take all this time to decorate. You could just use your scrap paper, or if you don't want to use scrap paper, you just want to use some new paper pad that you had, whatever you want to do. So again, as in everything with crafting, you can do as much or as little as you like. So we're going ahead. This is the one that was kind of busy that I told you you don't really have to decorate if you don't want to. The paper that the nuggets are wrapped in is kind of busy. The tag itself is kind of busy. I do throw a few things on there anyway. Again, mostly because I'm just trying to use stuff up. My nieces and nephews are going to absolutely love these tags. They're going to be so thrilled to get them. So I'm super excited about making these for them. So I do end up, at the end, when I'm done making all these, figuring out how much ribbon I do need, because you do see I am cutting off quite a bit of excess. But anyway, finishing up this last tag here, I do end up making a total of 9, but I'm only showing you these 4. So anyway, this is a really great project if you have those pattern paper pads that you just have scraps for that you just don't know what to do with. it's just a great project if you want to add something special to any kind of holiday, whether it be Halloween or Thanksgiving, Christmas, Valentine's Day, any of those holidays. They make great gifts for your coworkers or kids, nieces, nephews, craft fairs, whatever. So anyway, thank you so very much for joining me today. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more and you're not already, please hit that subscribe button. I appreciate each and every one of you. But for now, thank you again so much for joining me, and bye!